Steamy overcast afternoon in South Florida, where the NFL's only unbeaten team resides. It is the Miami Dolphins hosting the New England Patriots. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Hicks, along with my partner Dan Hampton. And Dan, proof here this afternoon that opposites do indeed attract. Not only do we have the top and bottom of the AFC East, we have the top and bottom teams of all of football. 0-5 versus 5-0.
Well, when you're talking about the top in football, you're talking about the Miami Dolphins. They're 5-0 and on a roll. And we all know how great the offense is with Dan Marino, Mark Clayton, Mark Duper. But today we're going to see Keith Jackson starting at tight end. Now, I think he's the best pass-catching tight end in football. Now, you're talking about an offense that's got an awful lot of weapons there.
All right, this was the original date. They were supposed to play this game was September 6th, the opener of the season, but due to Hurricane Andrew, it was moved to the bye date, which is this week for both teams. Now, while the Miami Dolphins are on a roll, they don't want to stop. The New England Patriots could use a break right now, but they won't get it.
Well, they're not going to get the break, and like I said, Miami's on a roll. Well, New England is in a rut right now, and they're a confused team. They don't know what has exactly gone wrong, but they know they've got to make something happen. And of course, they're going to start Tommy Hodson at quarterback for the injured Hugh Millen, and maybe that will give them the spark they need on offense.
All right, Tom Hodson just getting his 9th start for New England Patriots with a 1-8 record, and there is Dick McPherson. You talk about a long week for an NFL coach. They don't come any longer than that. We'll get into that more as this game develops. We're ready for the opening kickoff. Charlie Bauman to Miami's Mike Williams, number 87. He is short of the 20, about to the 19, stopped by number 22, Rod Smith of New England. Miami's offense, of course, begins with the franchise, Dan Marino, coming off another fourth-quarter comeback win last week. He has Higgs at running back, Page the fullback, the great wideouts Duper and Clayton, and getting his first start today at tight end, Keith Jackson. Up front, Richmond Webb and Keith Sims, big on that left side. Uleneg, Galbraith, and Dellenbach, the offensive line up front for Miami. First and 10 for the 19 for the Dolphins, and Marino will pass on first down. Tipped in the New England backfield and picked off by number 36, Jerome Henderson, who is inside the 10-yard line all the way down to the 8. So New England said they would need some big plays to get this game a win for them, and that's exactly what they got.
Well, what they were trying to do is go to Keith Jackson. Marino was trying to force that ball in there. It was tipped up, and it was a great play by the corner to pick it up. Now, we're looking here. Dan's going back. First and 10, he wants to go ahead and open that defensive front up. They run a little stunt. That doesn't bother him. Here, he tries to force it in. The safety tips it. That was Randy Robbins that tipped that ball, and it's a great return. New England needed something like this to happen early in the game. It looks like that defensive turnover they talked about, they got it.
So the Patriots inside Miami's 10-yard line. First and goal. Number 32, Leonard Russell, gets his first carry in quite some time. Russell has been ailing from a hip pointer, and he gets a couple of yards, brought down by Chuck Klingbeil, the nose tackle for the Dolphins. The New England Patriots have not scored a touchdown in the first half of the season. In fact, they have all of 3 points in the first half this entire season. Just inside the 5. And it is Russell again, barreling his way.
Well, we're going to see New England go ahead and try to pound that ball in there. Miami has a weakness on defense. They haven't stopped the rush as well as a lot of other teams. Now, of course, when you have big, strong backs like Stevens and Russell, you're going to give those big horses the ball. And I think it's important for New England to go ahead and make something happen here, because when you got a young quarterback like Tommy Hodson starting, you're going to expect him to let these big horses like Russell and Stevens help carry him early. He's going to have some jitters. You don't want to put him in the pocket, make him throw it. You're going to have to see this New England offense stand up and be counted here. If they can score, they're going to go a long way about being a respectable football team.
Third down and goal. Hodson will throw. Over the middle, and it's batted away by Lewis Oliver, the free safety for Miami, intended for Marv Cook.
Well, that's a real very risky pass. You got to think that, you know, Dick McPherson has to have an awful lot of confidence in Tommy Hudson. Now this is a tough pass. You're down on the goal line. Those defensive backs don't have much room to defend. They're all sitting there at the goal line ready to make a break. Lewis Oliver made a big break, almost takes the pick for a 100-yard return like he did in Buffalo.
So New England starts inside the 10-yard line with a first down, but cannot convert. Charlie Bauman comes in to try to put New England up 3-0. Tommy Hudson, the quarterback, will hold. And the chip shot is good. New England right out of the box with a big turnover against Miami, and they have a 3-0 lead. We're back at Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. What sets up the New England field goal. The tip was from Randy Robbins, but I got to believe, Dan, that New England would have loved to have a touchdown, their first in the first half of the season for Dick McPherson.
Well, that's sort of the way the season has gone. I mean, they've been close, but they haven't made the plays when they get the chance to. Last week, they had the 49ers down 12-0, 12-10 late in the fourth quarter, and they went ahead and let the 49ers come back. I think a good team makes a touchdown there. A team that struggles obviously doesn't.
All right, Charlie Bauman, who just put the Patriots up 3-0 with a 19-yard field goal, getting set to kick off to Aaron Craver and Mike Williams for Miami. (3-0) New England, 13:02 in the first quarter. And Williams will take it at the 1. Across the 15, brought down at the 19-yard line by number 34, Ken Turner of New England. Kevin Turner of the Patriots.
18-yard.
All right, let's set the New England defense for you, and it is really the bright spot of this team. The front seven, really not a bad group at all. Agnew, Goad, Williams, Tippett, Vincent Brown, Rembert, and Chris Singleton. And in the secondary, Poole, Hurst, Robbins, who had the tip on the interception there, and of course Jerome Henderson with the interception. Tony Page, Mark Higgs in the backfield for Dan Marino, who was intercepted on the very first play of the game, first and 10 from the 19. Higgs the call. And Higgs, who led this team with 905 yards last season, is just another one of those Miami running backs, Dan, who's trying to get the running game in gear for Don Shula this year.
Well, when you think about the Miami Dolphins, obviously you think about how great Marino is throwing the ball downfield. And the thing that Coach McPherson from New England said earlier today, hey, if we let them run the ball, then they're really scary. We've got to take that run away and make them throw the ball so we have a chance to know what he's doing.
Marino to throw on 2nd and 6. Rifles down the left side, incomplete, never touched. Andre Tippett of the Patriots may have got a hand on it. So Marino not off to a good start at all. He, of course, engineering his third fourth quarter comeback of the season last week to bring the Dolphins back.
Well, as we all know, the best way to stop Dan Marino is get some pressure on him. There we saw Andre Tippett coming underneath on a stunt, gets right in his face, keeps Dan from following through, throws the ball high.
3rd down and 6 for Miami, and Marino out of the shotgun. Bobby Humphrey into the game for Miami. Usually comes in on 3rd down situations. Marino flushed out of the pocket, but he gets it away to Humphrey, who's across the 30, 35, and knocked out of bounds just across the 40-yard line. So Bobby Humphrey, in his first play of the game, picking up the first down for the Dolphins.
Well, that's the asset that Humphrey has. He catches the ball so well. He's nifty. Marino knows that he can get the ball to him. Humphrey is the kind of back that will make something out of nothing. Here, he gets a little pressure, gets a little nervous, flips it to Humphrey. Humphrey goes for the first down. Now, on that set, Humphrey was the lone setback. They had 4 wide receivers. What they're trying to do is spread that defensive front and see if they can't isolate Humphrey on a linebacker. They'll work perfectly.
Humphrey, of course, in the even-up deal with Sammy Smith. Paying dividends nicely here in his early career with Miami. And Marino is almost picked off by Andre Tippett, intended for Page out of the backfield, the fullback. And New England would like to take advantages of those opportunities.
Well, Marino obviously does not look very sharp, but I think part of the problem is New England has done a good job keeping him off balance. We've seen Andre Tippett rush the passer, then we've seen him drop off in the coverage there. Joe Collier, the defensive coordinator, doing a good job with those different packages, keeping Dan Marino off stride.
All right, Humphrey back in the backfield for the Dolphins. Marino has not enjoyed the success that he's enjoyed in his career against the New England Patriots specifically. Matter of fact, the last 4 games against New England have been by 10 points or fewer Miami victories, and Marino is sacked back at the 35-yard line. Ray Agnew and Tim Goad back there sack him, and you don't see Marino go down often at all.
Well, Dan Marino has probably been sacked less than any quarterback in the league over the tenure that he's played, but I think New England is doing an excellent job of collapsing that pocket. Here, you're Dan Marino. Now you're looking for a receiver downfield. What you see is that stun in the middle. You see Agnew collapsing the tackle. Dellenbach back into your left. You don't have anywhere to go with the ball because you can't see. That's the best way to stop Dan Marino.
Well, the Dolphins in a hole again, 3rd and 15, and Bobby Humphrey in. Tim Goad with his first sack for the Patriots since 1990, and it's put the Dolphins in a hole, but Marino comes out firing, complete to Mark Duper, number 85, and it'll be well short of the first down. Duper to about the 39-yard line, brought down by Brent Williams.
Before the game, I was out talking to Dan, and Tim Goad comes up to us, Dan, and the last thing Dan says was, "Hey, take it easy on me, big guy." Well, it doesn't look like Tim listened to him. That was a great pass rush on that series of downs by the New England Patriots, and they're going to have to do that all day. Otherwise, Marino gets time, Marino kills him.
Yeah, we mentioned that Dan Marino, 3 out of the 5 Miami wins have had to be pulled out in the 4th quarter. But he has not been off to a good start at all today. Joe Pocock, the punter, hangs one for Walter Stanley, who at the last second falls for the fair catch at the 20-yard line, and that's where New England will take over with a 3-0 lead on Dan Marino and Miami. Dan Hampton back at Joe Robbie Stadium. Dan Marino, the Miami quarterback, feeling a little bit of pain in his left hand. He was sacked just a couple of moments ago, one of the rare sacks. But don't see Dan Marino go down at all, but he has been totally ineffective in his first couple of series for Miami, and the New England Patriots have 1st and 10 from their own 20. They lead it 3-0. And Hodson comes right out firing to Irving Fryer. That is complete. J.B. Brown on the coverage.
Talking about Marino's hand, I saw him tying his shoe. Now, if he can tie his shoe, I bet you we see him again. This guy, he's probably got a bad attitude about the way he started the game and wants to get back in.
Well, there's Hodson filling in for Hugh Millen, who did an admirable job in New England's loss last week to the San Francisco 49ers, but Hugh Millen was just too banged up, separated shoulder, bad knee, so they turned to Tom Hodson, who is making his 9th start for New England. Hodson, the 3rd-year quarterback at LSU, hands off to Russell Leonard, and this time the Miami Dolphins defense is there to meet him.
Well, that's the big rookie, Marco Coleman, making a big play. Now, Marco started today, and what they're going to do is utilize this guy in a lot of different ways. There, he lined up as a right defensive end, knifing in and taking the back down in the backfield. That's the type of capability this guy has. He's a big, strong guy. You see him 90 right there in the bottom of your screen, making the hit on Russell. Now, he makes such a good charge across the line of scrimmage, a Pro Bowl tackle. Armstrong was unable to block him. Now, they have awful high hopes for this guy. They say once he figures it out, he's going to be one of the best.
Marco Coleman, one of 2 first-round picks for Miami, along with Troy Vincent, who also plays in the secondary for Miami. And John Vaughn is stopped behind the line of scrimmage as well.
That was a big-time play, Dan. Watching Coleman, you had to like the way the young guy, he makes a big play. A lot of good offenses will come back and try to trap you. Now you'll see the right guard of the Patriots coming here on this counter to trap him. He is so quick across the line of scrimmage, he is able to beat Eugene Chung to the point of attack, making another big play in the backfield on Vaughn.
Thus, the New England Patriots in punt formation on 4th and 9. Sean McCarthy lifts it Scott Miller's way, and he's backpedaled to the 21 before coming out across the 30 to about the 34-yard line before he's brought down. So New England stuffed on their 2nd series of the game after taking the lead off an interception, and we'll be back with another chance for Miami at Joe Robbie in just a moment. Defensively, Dan, they have just stuffed the New England Patriots, and the rookie out of Georgia Tech, Marco Coleman, had a large part in that.
Well, if you're the offensive coordinator, you say, well, let me see, I can't base block him, I can't trap block him, better run the other way. And that's what this guy brings. He brings such a big package of talent, it's hard to block it.
The defensive coordinator, Tom Olivadotti, told us yesterday that Marco Coleman just was a little overwhelmed by the speed in the NFL, but he's going to be a good one. 1st and 10 for Miami. Mark Higgs with the carry. Brought down by Vincent Brown, left inside linebacker for the Patriot defense.
You know, you talk to a lot of guys around the league, and they talk very highly of that front 7 for the New England Patriots. Vincent Brown and Tippett, Tim Gold, they've got an awful lot of talent, mainly in their linebackers. And this guy right here is probably their best linebacker now, Vincent Brown. He'll make a lot of plays today.
Well, he suffered a very scary neck injury against Seattle earlier in the year and played his first game last week and then played a little tentative, but he's back in. And this is Mark Higgs breaking out of the backfield across midfield, where he's finally hauled down by Maurice Hurst. So Higgs trying to become the first 1,000-yard runner for Miami since 1978, when Delvin Williams broke the 1,000-yard barrier. Higgs would like to have more carries, but everybody else would. At Miami backfield with Humphrey along, it's going to be a struggle to get carries.
Well, this guy is going to run the ball hard every time he gets it, and he's such a short guy. He's a little rock coming through there. It's hard to tackle.
5'7", 195-pounder. Marino will pass on 1st down. Short gain complete to Tony Page, the fullback, out of the backfield, and Brown for the Patriots once again on the coverage. 3-0 New England, 6:33 left in the first quarter.
This New England defense, we talked about being led by the linebackers, but, you know, it's hard to lose good players, and one of the problems for the New England defense right now, and Coach Mack touched on it, was, hey, I can't lose good players like Garen Veras and still feel the best team. And, you know, they've had a lot of things they had to overcome this year, but I think this defensive front is really the rock they can build the team around.
2nd and 8 for Miami. The ball at the 47-yard line of New England. And it's Higgs again out of the backfield. Flag was thrown in the backfield, which could bring it back, and it looks like it will be holding against Miami.
Well, that's really the only thing that I can think of that can consistently stop this Dolphin offense with all this talent. Last week, they had 10 penalties. The week before, that is totally uncharacteristic of a Don Shula coach football team. And right there, I think that was on Tony Page, the fine fullback, blocking on Andre Tippett.
Holding on the offense, number 65, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Well, that's
Jeff Dellenbach gets the holding call, and really Miami, characteristically, Dan, through the years, has been one of the least penalized teams in the NFL. And we were talking with Don Shula yesterday. You just get the feeling that just drives him crazy, the penalties.
Well, I don't think it's any coincidence that he's on the rules committee. It's kind of embarrassing to go in there and lead the league in penalties and have to make the rules.
So Miami really in a hole. 2nd down and 17. So Bobby Humphrey flanking Dan Marino out of the shotgun. Keith Jackson, who got his first start for Miami, is split to the left inside. A wide out, and Marino across the middle will find number 83, Mark Clayton. So Clayton, the 10th-year man out of Louisville, with his first reception. He became the team's all-time leading receiver versus Buffalo earlier this season, passing the great Nat Moore. So Clayton and Duper continuing to do their thing in Miami.
That's one of the great things about this offense. You kind of expect those guys to be running those flag patterns way down. Clayton and Duper are tough enough to run those seam patterns and crossing patterns that a lot of receivers, you know, they start taking those chicken pills. They don't want to do it. These guys are tough enough to get it done.
Well, Clayton got 9 yards, but it's still 3rd down and 8 for Miami at the 47. Movement on the Patriots defensive line, but no flag, and Marino wanted number 85, Mark Duper, down the sidelines, but the pass was nowhere even close. So Marino seems a little bit frustrated, doesn't really seem to be in sync so far.
Well, they're getting good pressure, and they're not creating those lanes where Dan can see those crossing patterns. Those defensive linemen are collapsing the pocket, getting their hands up. He's going to have a hard time throwing the ball when he can't find the receivers.
So Miami in punt formation. Back deep for New England is Irving Fryer, standing at his own 10-yard line as Prokop with the punt. End over end. Fryer will let it roll, and it'll be to Miami's advantage as they recover it at the 6-yard line. And we'll be back to Miami with New England. The winless Patriots up 3-0. their first victory of this '92 season against the only unbeaten team in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins. But as we talked to Dick McPherson at the beginning of the game, Danny said, hey, maybe Tommy Hotson could become that spark with Hugh Millen out to get us going. And New England, 1st and 10 from the 6. Leonard Russell with a call. Second-year man at ASU, the NFL's Rookie of the Year last year. Still a little bit banged up with that hip pointer, which kept him out of last week's game, but they need him healthy.
Hey, this guy is a big horse, and I think that was pretty indicative of what it takes to get him down. It took 4 Dolphins to bring this guy down on that last play. Now he's limping off. We talked about that hip being a problem for him. That's a big blow. I don't know how they can replace this guy unless they put Stevens at tailback. I think we're going to see Vaughn, though, come in.
Well, we have John Vaughn, indeed, number 24. 2nd down and 3. And Vaughn gets the call across the right side, very close to the first down. Brought down by Miami linebacker John Offerdahl.
Well, Offerdahl is probably the bell cow of this Miami Dolphin defense, and a lot of people think this is his finest season. You know, you go 5-0, you're going to have to find some guys that stand up and make plays week after week, and this guy right now, I think, is playing the best inside linebacker position in the NFL.
Well, if there's a Dan Marino of the defense, John Offerdahl would certainly be it. Just 6 games last year because of a knee injury, and he has worked back, rehabbed, and says he's stronger than ever this year. And he provides that leadership for that Miami defense. Indeed, the 1st and 10 picked up by New England. And John Stevens with a call on left side, shakes 1 tackle, bowls his way across the 20 before Lewis Oliver, 6'2", 224-pounder, brings him down.
Well, we just talked about how great John Offerdahl is. Well, he could not tackle Stevens on that last play. Comes scraping around the corner, is in perfect shape, and Stevens runs away from him until Oliver has to take him down.
Well, there's Oliver, who is quickly becoming one of the best safeties and defensive men in the NFL. He had that huge game against Buffalo earlier this season where he had all 3 of his interceptions returned, at one of them an NFL record-tying 103 yards.
Might have ran out of gas.
2nd down and 5. Hotson will throw, and it is complete to Michael Timpson, number 83.
Well, that was a very impressive play call. New England obviously has a little bit of jitters starting Hotson. Now, this guy is not a rookie or anything. I mean, he's been there before. He started the first 3 games of the season last year, and I think this team has an awful lot of confidence in Tommy Hotson.
Well, you can see New England's offense gaining confidence as well. McPherson told us before the game, we have to move the chains. Nothing fancy. We're not going to try anything that would get Tommy Hotson out of a rhythm, and so far it's worked. A minute and 36 left. They have a 3-0 lead, and John Vaughn gets the call, but he is stopped cold, maybe a yard at best, brought down by Jarvis Williams, the strong safety who knifed in.
Well, when we see those safeties up at the line of scrimmage making tackles, it won't be long before Tommy Hotson gets the green signal to go deep. In this league, you've got to be able to play man on man, and when they start bringing those safeties up at the line of scrimmage, which Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator, likes to do. He's got some big, strong safeties, some headhunters. He likes to bring them up at the line of scrimmage, almost dare you to throw behind him.
Tommy Hotson, more of a rollout passer, has more mobility than Hugh Millen, and on 2nd and 8, he almost stumbles out of the backfield but gets rid of it. The handoff is to Vaughn, who is close to the first down, but he'll be short, and that will bring up 3rd down. Offerdahl in on the stop.
3rd and 1.
Well, they're doing just about what Coach McPherson said they would do. Move the chains. We said, hey, is that your game plan? You're going to try anything to stretch it? No, I'm going to go ahead and make those chains move. I'm going to play good kicking teams, you know, try to be a plus on the special teams part, and hope that my defense can give me some big plays. We've already gotten one big play by the defense. Now the offense needs to go ahead and grind it out.
This is the 24th ranked offense in the NFL. New England on 3rd and short, trying to get their first 3rd down conversion, and they go long down the sideline, and it is complete. Irving Fryer. It was juggled by the Miami left corner Troy Vincent for a moment before Fryer hauled it in and goes all the way for the touchdown. Hodgson to Fryer, and the New England Patriots have a chance to go up 10-0 as the first quarter expires.
Well, I said if you start seeing those safeties make tackles at the line of scrimmage, it won't be long before Dick Corey, the fine coordinator for the New England Patriots, gives him the light. Here, just a simple streak pattern. Irving Fryer, still possessing some of the best speed in the business, was able to get a bobble out of the corner and go ahead and catch the ball for the touch.
Troy Vincent had it in his hands for an instant, but Fryer, the ninth-year man out of Nebraska, who broke his ring finger last week in the game, is able to haul it in. Charlie Bauman tacking on the PAT for a 10-0 New England, and their first touchdown in the first half of the season, 59 yards to Fryer.
Well, Troy Vincent is going to be a fine cornerback in this business one day, but he can't bobble the ball like that. When you get a chance to make an interception, make sure you catch it, but don't bat it up and let the receiver catch it. That's a simple mistake that a lot of rookies make. You can't get it, knock it down.
That play ended the first quarter. Here's Aaron Craver getting the kickoff from Charlie Bauman. And he'll take it up to about the 20, where Miami will take over 1st and 10. Kevin Turner on the stop. And here comes Dan Marino, who is 4 for 8 so far, but with that one interception, it has been a very inauspicious beginning for the Dolphin QB.
Well, this far in the game, the Patriots look like they're undefeated, and Miami is the ones that are stumbling around. I think Dan Marino will probably go back to doing what he does best. Take that ball back 7 yards and throw those big deep outs and get that ball down the field.
Maybe he's waiting to stage a fourth quarter comeback later on in the game. Here he is passing to Higgs, complete. Chris Singleton and Johnny Rembert, the right linebackers on that side, bring him down. And Marino also chasing another milestone today. He's at the beginning of the game, he needed 6 completions to move into 3rd place on the all-time completion list and move ahead of Joe Montana. And he will certainly move into that spot today, but he'd like to move into it with a win over the Patriots. 2nd down, less than a yard, maybe a foot. Ball on the 29. Higgs will not get the first down. The Peary got the first down. But he did get the first down indeed, so Higgs gets the first down and Miami moves the chains.
Well, a lot of folks like to play football when you're throwing the ball, catching the ball. On short yardage is when everybody has to go ahead and gut it out and earn their paycheck. On that last play, Tony Page, the fine blocking fullback, hit Rembert, the linebacker, head on. It was a heck of a collision. It was unbelievable. They made the first.
Marino with 5 completions, looking for his 6th, and it is complete. So Dan Marino will move into 3rd place on the all-time completions list. Complete to Mark Duper on the left side.
You know, you look into those eyes of Dan Marino. A lot of times when he's up 3 touches, he's kind of got a little smirk on his face. But when he's down 10 points, he gets that steely-eyed glance that you know that he means business. And I tell you what, that's, I think, one of the great assets he has. Sure, he's big and strong, got the great arm, but he's a heck of a competitor.
Well, it's clear that Miami did not look like world beaters last week in their win over the Falcons. They did come back from a 4th quarter deficit, but getting the win was a challenge, and this time it is incomplete, intended for Mark Higgs over the middle. So Miami may be 5-0, Dan, but in talking to the players yesterday, they know that could be somewhat of a paper tiger theory. Maybe they're not as good as a 5-0 team should be at this point in the season.
Well, John Offerdahl, the leader of the defense, says, hey, we know we're 5-0, and we're glad. We're lucky to be there, but we know we're not God's gift of football. And I think this team has an awful long way to go to be like a Super Bowl contender. I think they've got an awful lot of pluses, but they've got to be consistent. That is what they haven't done thus far in this game.
The only unbeaten team in football, down 10-0 to the winless Patriots. 3rd and short for Miami. Higgs picks up the first down.
The last play, they pulled Sims, the 300-pound left guard, ran the long trap with Page leading it. Higgs, that is what he does best. Follow those big guys up in the front. Get behind those wide pockets and hits those seams. I think that is what Miami does best when they try to run the ball. Run those traps, those gut plays. Let this little guy right here hit those seams and make 4 and 8 yards at a chunk.
Higgs with a couple of touchdowns last week. First and 10 for Miami. Marino long down the right sideline, and it is Mark Duper who the pass was intended for, but clearly he had no chance as Marino overthrew him. David Poole on the coverage.
Well, David Poole does a good job shattering Duper here. You'll see Duper forced out of bounds. Now, when a receiver is pushed or forced out of bounds, he is an ineligible receiver. He cannot catch the ball. That is why the official threw the hat down at that spot. Great job by Poole, who really didn't play Duper as much as he tried to play the football.
Poole, 5'9", 182-pounder out of Carson Newman. He's a free agent signee from Buffalo last season. And second down and 10 for the Dolphins. Bobby Humphrey in the backfield for Miami. And that's who Marino will go to across the 46. Humphrey picking up extra yardage across midfield and to the New England 47. Hurst and Brown of New England on the stop. And there is the milestone for Dan Marino, who passes Joe Montana, third spot on the all-time NFL completions list. One of a long list of milestones for Dan Marino, who holds 27 team and 18 league records. So he moves in front of Joe Montana, and the jury's still out whether Montana will be able to add to that list and try to catch up on Marino.
Well, I may be kind of greedy. I was kind of hoping it'd be a long pass, something memorable. That was just a little deep pass to pass Montana. So like Montana throws.
Third down, very short, less than a yard. Higgs will get the call and get the first down. Across the New England 45 to about the 44, where Vincent Brown hauls it down. We mentioned Vincent Brown had that scary neck injury versus Seattle earlier in the year and was very tentative in last week's game, and told us, Dan, that he laid on the field paralyzed for several minutes, and that's kind of the point where your life kind of flashes before your eyes. He was very scared. He goes to practice now with a better feeling.
Well, you know, you think about knee injuries, shoulders, sure, they all hurt and there's pain. But when you hurt your neck, and I tell you what, football becomes very, very distant in your life.
Marino on first and 10, wide open is number 83, Mark Clayton. Touchdown, Miami. .44 yards. Dan Marino to Mark Clayton. And just like that, Miami's back in the game.
That is what makes this offense so scary. Clayton working on a single coverage guy. You cannot cover Duper, Clayton with two guys and take care of Jackson in the middle. Here you'll see Clayton at the bottom of the screen. Marino does a great job faking it. Clayton just bends it off, busts the seam there. The safety Robbins should have stuck with him. Wide open. But the play, the part of the play that set it all up, great fake by Dan Marino on a dive.
Pete Stoyanovich on to kick the extra point to make it 10-7 New England. So we knew Miami could strike in a hurry, and Marino to Clayton makes it happen. We'll be right back. Across the 25, 30, and to the 35 before he is knocked out of bounds. Mark Clayton as well, moving up the milestone list. It seems every pass play, either Marino or Clayton takes another notch up on some list, but he ties Harold Carmichael, Charlie Taylor for 9th NFL all-time. And as you look at the combinations, no one has done it better in the history of the NFL. Marino to Clayton, 77 touchdowns now, and right down the list in the 4th spot is to the other wide receiver, Mark Duper. So Does that speak volumes for Marino, Goofer, and Clayton?
It's unbelievable when you think about 77 touchdowns. Oh.
Well, here's Tom Hodson trying to answer back. First and 10, New England. Play action fake left side, complete to Fryer. J.B. Brown on the coverage for the Patriots. Rather for the Dolphins.
1 yard, 2nd and 11.
Well, that was a quick screen out to Fryer. A guy like Fryer, you try to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. Now, that was a good play, but bad execution. The left tackle, Armstrong, who's really a fine football player, was a little bit late in getting out there and kicking the corner out. They're just a half step off here and there, but ultimately that disrupts the timing of the entire offense.
Well, the 38. Tommy Hodson had a world of room on the left side, and if he would have just sprinted out, he would have had a chance at picking up the first down, but he chose to slide.
Well, Tommy Hodson is a tough little guy. He's from LSU, ran the ball an awful lot in college. I tell you what, I think he wishes he had that play back. I can't imagine him not putting his head down and going for the first down marker.
That's one of his strong points. He has mobility. He doesn't use it here.
Exactly. They do a good job spreading out those defensive linemen, giving him a seam. Tommy, stand up.
Well, now it's 3rd down and 6 for New England. 8:39 to go. The Patriots with a 10-7 lead over Miami. Complete for the first down to Irving Fryer, who was dragged down by J.B. Brown. So Hodson gets it done on 3rd down, and New England picks up the first down.
Well, he got good protection from his offensive line there. Now you'll see number 90, Marco Coleman, right there, getting a good jump on the ball. Now he's working against Armstrong, the left tackle. Armstrong does a good job keeping him from turning the corner. Now, a lot of quarterbacks hate it when those guys can turn that corner real sharp and get up and strip the ball. That is what Coleman was trying to do. Armstrong takes it away from him.
Marco Coleman, the all-time sack leader at Georgia Tech. He broke Pat Swilling's record, and Miami hopes he records many sacks before his career is over here in Miami. And Hodson takes a seat behind the line of scrimmage, pressured by Jeff Cross of Miami, and now they're in another 2nd down and long situation, 2nd and 12.
Well, when you try to run the football, you need your big bodies to mash little bodies. That last play, Coleman there, 90, took Bruce Armstrong and stuffed him backwards 2 yards on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Now, that's what defensive coordinators talk about. Hey, we established a new line of scrimmage. Well, Coleman did it there. That's why the play didn't go anywhere.
Irving Fryer at the top of your screen, wide to the left. Greg McMurtry below, wide to the right. Play action by Hodson. And that was intended for McMurtry, broken up by Troy Vincent. A flag in the backfield, which could indicate holding against New England.
Well, it will be holding against someone on the Patriot offensive line, but I can't say enough about this Troy Vincent's break on the ball that last time. That is what you look for. When you look at cornerbacks on film, you look at reaction time. Okay, the backfield, okay, as soon as they see that ball, that is what makes a great corner. He breaks on the ball so quickly, possessing that super speed, 4.25, 4.3, whatever it is. All I know is
on the offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Well, that'll bring New England back 10 yards and put them in an even deeper hole on 2nd down and 22.
Well, number 77, Pat Harlow, is out there playing basically with one arm. He missed all the training camp. He had back surgery back in the spring. They say he is not full speed, but he's trying to gut it up and go out there and try to help his team win. But he's not playing at full strength there. He was caught for holding.
Hodson of the Patriots in a deep hole. And the pass is caught, but it is incomplete, out of bounds. Irving Fryer made the reception. J.B. Brown was over there, but a near spectacular reception by Fryer, but he's out of bounds. It'll bring up 3rd and 22 for New England.
Here it was a good execution, just a little out of bounds. Here you see number 44, Russell. They're chipping away on those defensive ends, trying to slow that rush down to give the quarterback a chance. Hodson throwing the ball very well, just a little wide.
Irving Fryer almost made that catch. He needed to get that other foot in. I believe he got 1 foot in, but Irving Fryer sets the tone for this offense. He is the veteran for New England, but on 3rd and 22, Hodson needs almost a miracle to get out of this situation. Rolling to his right, firing downfield, and Greg McMurtry had a host of Dolphins around him and wasn't able to come up with a catch. Vincent there, Jarvis Williams there, so New England will punt it away.
Well, that was a good plan to try to get outside that Dolphin rush. Marv Cook, 85, gets a good seal block, frees the quarterback where he can see the field. But the Dolphins were smarter than they were 3 plays ago. They were able to get some force over there, made a great break on the ball. Hodson's lucky it wasn't picked.
Sean McCarthy to punt for New England. I'd like to have your punter 6 feet 6 inches tall. He can see over the line and see exactly who he's kicking to, and that's Scott Miller of Miami. But this one is blocked by the Dolphins. James Saxon.
Well, Saxon is a backup running back, but he's one of those guys that goes out there and makes big plays when he gets a chance to be on the field. Now, I don't know, but it looked like maybe he dropped the ball. Let's take a look at it. It does. Miami does have a block on. They're getting some good pressure. No, clean block by Saxon.
That is 32, Bruce Alexander in there.
Well, Alexander does a great job. Ben Coach 87, the tight end, is trying to stretch that block. He slips underneath him, blocking.
That is 32, Bruce Alexander with a block on McCarthy's punt, and that puts Miami in business. First down and 10 at the 26. Mark Higgs with the carry. Brought down by Go.
Some of those guys on the Dolphin front rushed, some of them fell back. I don't know whether or not Armstrong was on a block, but all I know is he found a seam and he kept going upfield until he got to the punter. So all he got to do to block it.
Well, this is exactly the kind of hole that Dick McPherson did not want his club to dig itself into.
Well, he said, I think I can win the special teams battle. Well, you're not going to do it by having the punter get his kick blocked.
Alexander with a block punt, and Miami in business at the 24 now. Second down and 8. 6:04 left in the half. New England up 10-7 on the winless Patriots. That pass intended for Mark Duper, incomplete. Maurice Hurst on the coverage.
Those quick slants are the toughest thing for a cornerback to make a play on, and Maurice Hurst made a super break on that ball. Marino trying to force it in there before the safety can get back out. Tell you what, you got to like the way this New England defense is scrapping. They've given up a couple of big plays, but they'll go ahead and lock it up toe-to-toe and strike you until you get to that end zone.
Well, the Patriot defense has given up the most rushing yards in the AFC so far this season. It is a talented group, but they have not put it all together. Now, shovel pass from Marino to Humphrey, who takes it down to the 17-yard line. Agnew on the stop.
Well, when you get the New England defense in a nickel situation where it's 3rd and long, you're going to have 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, and 6 DBs. Now, that is the time you want to get Bobby Humphrey running the football.
Well, it is short of the first down. It'll bring up 4th and 1.
Here we see Galbraith, the big right guard, pulling, kicking out on the linebacker. Humphrey's able to squeeze it up in there on that shuffle pass. Good call.
Well, this is Pete Stoyanovich from 35 yards out. 13 of 16 on the year. And this is a pretty automatic distance for Stoyanovich, who nails it through the uprights. Miami wasn't able to convert a touchdown, but gets a field goal and ties it up at 10 apiece. So 10, but Dan Hampton, I think you said it earlier, the New England Patriots not playing like a winless team at all, and Miami not playing like an unbeaten one.
Well, everyone knows they're 0-5, but Dick McPherson, the coach, said, hey, forget about them. Let's start a new season today, and they look like they have.
Pete Storanovich's field goal of 34 yards tied it up at 10. Now his kick to Walter Stanley with a nice return across the 30, all the way up to the 36-yard line. So New England puts themselves in good position to begin their series, where they will take over. We're tied at 10 at Joe Robbie Stadium. 4:52 to go in the half. Back at Joe, bringing the Patriots out, 1st and 10 from their own 37. And the give is to John Vaughn. Gets a couple of yards around the left side. Brian Cox made the tackle. Well, next Sunday, NBC Sports presents an action-packed NFL doubleheader beginning at 12 Eastern with NFL Live. And one of the NFC's leading rushers, Rodney Hampton, leads the New York Giants against the Seattle Seahawks. And in the second half of our doubleheader, both of today's teams in action, Dan Marino against the Colts and the Patriots take on the Browns. Check your local listings. 2nd down and 8 for New England. Ball at the 39. Hodgson to throw, left side. Intended for Fryer, but it was overthrown, and Fryer was very well covered, and he was pressured by Marco Coleman of the Dolphins.
Well, the Dolphin defensive front has been asked to rush the pass an awful lot today. There's Marco Coleman doing a real good job of turning the corner. We talked earlier about it. There, when he turned the corner, he didn't have that big tackle. He had the running back, John Vaughn. They made short work of Mr. Vaughn and went ahead and put the quarterback down on the ground. And that is how you make a living in the NFL, through a defensive line.
Well, Hodgson had a hot hand a few moments ago. He was 5 for 5. Now he's 0 for his last 3. And a timeout called on the field by New England. And we'll be back to Joe Robbie Stadium. New England and Miami tied at 10 apiece. Back at Joe Robbie Stadium, where Tommy Hodgson has done something that Hugh Millen, the other quarterback for New England, couldn't do. He's gotten a touchdown for New England in the first half of the game, and he's also completed a pass for a touchdown, which Hugh Millen failed to do. But Hugh Millen almost engineered an upset over the San Francisco 49ers last week, but it is Hodgson's turn this week, and he is trying to make the most of it. And it's 10-all early on. He's being pressured right now, and he will go down for the 2nd time this game.
The big Jeff Cross, lining up out at left defensive end, does a great job turning that corner on Harlow, the right tackle. Now, you can get all the cornerbacks and safeties in the world, but unless you get pressure up the middle on a quarterback, you're going to have a hard time stopping him. There, they ran a stunt. Cross takes the outside charge, turns that corner. That's big league pass rush there. That's what Miami needs.
That brings up 4th and 17, so New England will punt. McCarthy to punt, and Miller back deep, standing at his 30-yard line for Miami. Beautiful punt, drives Miller back all the way to the 18. Shakes one tackle across the 25 before he's brought down at the 27-yard line by Ben Coates. 60 yards on the punt, 8 on the return. Tied with the NFL's best at 10 apiece. Marino's pass complete to Higgs out of the backfield, who fumbles the football. Jeff Ulenek, the Miami center, was able to recover it. Andre Tippett of New England shaking the ball loose.
Well, we're going to see Tippett make a big play here. He's rushing the passer. He doesn't just stand around and watch the grass grow. He turns, breaks on the ball. Here you'll see him strike right in the middle of your screen with his shoulder right on the ball. Now, you're seeing that an awful lot in the NFL. Striking the ball, causing it to come out.
Well, Miami comes up with a 7-yard gain, and here is Higgs to the 40 before Chris Singleton drags him down. Should be good enough for the first down, and it is.
Now, you talk about that offense for the Miami Dolphins. I really think that even though you have Keith Jackson, who we haven't really heard much of today, and those wide receivers, Don Shula would still like to grind that ball out with backs like Gates and Humphrey.
This pass complete to Keith Jackson, number 88, who's all the way down to the 40-yard line before he's dropped down by Johnny Rembert.
Speak of the devil.
That brings us to the 2-minute warning. So Dan Marino to Keith Jackson has the Dolphins threatening here before halftime. Most of these so-called experts around the league think that this could indeed be Miami's year, as not only the addition of Bobby Humphrey, but the big tight end Keith Jackson, the unrestricted free agent, who became that way on September 24th. He was signed 5 days later by Miami, and Keith Jackson says he felt like he was in prison in Philadelphia with all the double teams he was getting, Dan, but here in Miami with Duper and Clayton, he gets a little bit freer out there in the secondary.
He just got free
for 21 yards, which has given Miami a first down and 10 at the New England 40. That one intended for Humphrey, incomplete. That'll bring up second down and 10. Bobby Humphrey, we mentioned that in his first 2 years at Denver, he rushed for 1,000 yards, but in Don Shula's offensive scheme, the carries won't be near as much here in Miami with the talent with Higgs and the wideouts and the whole offense.
Well, it's not the fact that Bobby Humphries is not a good enough ball carrier to give him the ball 30 times. It's just when you've got that many good players and you've got to spread the ball around, and it's not easy to just snap your finger and say, Higgs, you're out, Humphries in. Higgs is a fine player in his own right.
Second down and 10. Here's Humphrey on the run. He is across the 35 to the 34 before New England's Chris Singleton brings him down.
Well, I just think Bobby Humphrey's a stud pup. I remember a couple of years ago we played in Denver.
A stud pup.
Stud pup. He's a young guy, but he plays the game like he's in 8th grade. Still wants to be, the toughest guy. And he'll run through blocks, he'll catch the ball, he'll do anything. And, I think he found a great situation. He told me yesterday, hey, I like it when it's hot. Well, he came to the right place, because when you get him in that offense, it'll get warmed up in a hurry.
Well, he couldn't wait to get out of Denver. There was no doubt that he was in Dan Reeves' doghouse. He held out, played in only 4 games, won it out of Denver, and probably couldn't imagine much of a better scenario than hooking up with the Miami Dolphins, getting a chance to catch out of the backfield from one of the most prolific passers in NFL history in Dan Marino, and also getting a chance to get his carries in as well.
Checking that hair out, he may be watching too many rap videos. No denying this guy can carry the mountain.
Minute 36 to go in the first half, and the New England Patriots have done exactly what they wanted to do, stay in the ball game. They are tied at 10 with the Miami Dolphins. This is the top and bottom representatives of the AFC Eastern Division and the entire NFL as far as records are concerned. 5-0 Miami, 0-5 New England.
Well, Joe Collier, the defensive coordinator for New England, has done a masterful job of disguising things and keeping Marino off balance.
On 3rd and 5, Marino to throw, and he's got Bobby Humphrey, who is across the 20-yard line. A flag is thrown.
Probably will be a face mask call against Howard.
Gain of 15 on the play, but we'll wait for the call, and it is indeed a face mask on David Howard, number 99.
Well, this is what Keith Jackson, the offense, how big a problem it presents. Now, you're going to have to double Jackson. You got to double Clayton. Well, who are you going to put on Bobby Humphries? Well, they wind up putting a linebacker on Bobby Humphries, and no linebacker can cover Bobby Humphrey one-on-one in the open field. That's the problem. Who are you going to double? Who are you going to help?
There is Howard. And there is Dick McPherson, who has to be awfully happy with the way things are going right now. Minute 27 left. And the Dolphins knocking on the door. 1st and 10, the ball on the Patriot 15. Wide open is Bobby Humphrey, who is easily inside the 10 all the way to the 6. And if you're going to give Dan Marino that kind of time and have that kind of guy like Humphrey wide open, it'll be a long afternoon in the second half for the Patriots.
Well, I just think that Dan Marino is doing a great job of mixing that thing up. On that last play, the right tackle brings the defensive end upfield, cuts him, so Marino can throw that little bullet pass right over the end.
Gain of 9, 2nd down and 1. Marino this time off the mark, intended for Clayton.
I think Dan thought that those receivers were going to run an out and up. The inside guy was going to cut off the outside guy's tail and run a quick out. Wasn't on the same page with his receivers.
Well, Miami has missed the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years. And really, New England has not been a pushover for Don Shula and the Dolphins at all. As a matter of fact, Dan Marino has thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes against the Patriots, 27 and 26 in his career against New England. Play action, and Marino just lofts it over to Keith Jackson. Easy touchdown for Miami. And that drive was very easy for the Dolphins.
Well, it looked like Dan Marino went to a smorgasbord and just started taking little different things off the rack. I mean, a little pass, a little screen, a little dump pass, a little bullet. He does a lot of it here. He fakes that little dive, sets up Jackson, who's one-on-one. Once again, who are you going to double? You can't let all these guys be single coverage.
Well, we saw a lot of the Miami weapons in that drive. Humphrey, the 6-yard touchdown pass to Keith Jackson, making his first start today. And here's Pete Stoyanovich on to tack on the extra point to give the Dolphins a 17-10 lead over the New England Patriots. So things got off to a inauspicious start for Miami, but they are beginning to get things rolling here with 49 seconds left in the first half.
You know, when Keith Jackson was signed, a lot of people said, what do they need this guy for? Because they got Farrell Edmonds, a fine player in his own right. He's been to the Pro Bowl at tight end. But the thing about Keith Jackson is he's so smart as far as running patterns. He's very nifty. Dan Marino said yesterday, he said, hey, this guy, he's been watching Charles Barkley up in Philadelphia. He'll put that big old bottom of his on a receiver, turn, spin him off, get him away from him. He does an awful lot of good things to get the ball thrown to him.
3-time Pro Bowler who spent all those years with the Philadelphia Eagles. Never got himself to the Super Bowl, but that's what he wants to do with Miami.
Well, if Miami does go, he could be playing against his old homeboys, because I think a lot of folks think Philadelphia may eventually make it there. And if they don't, one of the reasons a lot of folks are going to bring up is the fact, hey, we don't have Keith Jackson, who was a big part of Randall Cunningham's offense.
Keith Jackson with his second touchdown pass of this young season from Dan Marino, and Walter Stanley and John Vaughn will await the kick from Pete Stoyanovich. 9 plays, 72 yards on that scoring drive by the Dolphins.
You know, I don't know if eventually I'm sure they're going to outlaw those big tight ends running downfield on those cornerbacks. You know, Keith Jackson, he doesn't look like it when he runs, but he's 250 pounds. And a lot of those corners that are asked to cover him weigh 175. So, yeah, I mean, you know, that's almost criminal to get a big guy like that with that much talent and speed and getting the ball downfield.
Stojanovich's kick takes one bounce in the end zone and out. Walter Stanley will watch it go out of the end zone, and that'll bring it up to the 20 for Miami. Coming up, it's the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Bob Costas, Will McDonough, and Bill Parcells bring you up to date on all the action from around the league. And Gil Gardner with a feature on Steve Largent. That's also coming up at halftime.
Gil probably get a lot closer than a lot of cornerbacks did to Steve Largent. He sure hurt our feelings in Chicago an awful lot of times.
Well, here's Tommy Hodson with 49 seconds left in the first half. Probably will not try to do anything too fancy, give Miami another opportunity to score and just feel satisfied to go into the locker room down 17-10.
They're spread out. I think they're just going to go ahead and try to get this ball down the field and get something out of it, Dan.
Well, Hodson will pass, and he'll dump it off to John Stevens, who is across the 20 to the 23. Clock running, 38 seconds left. And Hodson will work the no huddle, something that Hugh Mellon experimented with last week. Plenty of time for Hodson. And that is complete to Michael Timpson, the Miami defense lane back, giving them the whole field to work with.
what happens is when you get in these situations, you say, the last thing I want to do is give you something deep. Well, you go with a 3-man rush, which gets no pressure on the quarterback. You're covering 8, but if you give him enough time, he's going to find a hole. I think it's always best to go ahead and rush 4 guys, and that is exactly what Tom Olivadotti has done here. It's good pattern, too much time. That's all it was.
Michael Timpson went to high school here in Miami, picking up 15 yards for the Patriots. First down and 10. Hodgson throwing. Out of the backfield, John Stevens close to midfield to the 49 with 7 seconds left in the half. Vesty Jackson over there in the vicinity.
Once again, they rushed 3 guys. Hodgson able to find somebody to throw it to. But another 15, 20 yards, they've got a chance to try a field goal. And, you know, a lot of times, quarterback says, hey, I'll just go ahead and take a shot, throw it up for grabs in the end zone. Maybe I get an interference call. And I think that's probably what they're going to do.
The longest field goal made this season so far for the Patriots, Charlie Bauman, is 44. He's only attempted 4 all year. Dick McPherson talking with his young quarterback Hodgson, who had the final 6 starts of his rookie year, the first 3 last season, but has only won 1 of 9 games in which he started for New England. So for Tommy Hodgson to come in and fill in for Hugh Millen against the unbeaten team, 5-0 Dolphins, it is a tall order, but Dick McPherson said, here it is, Tommy, go for it.
Well, he's made some big plays, but the main thing is he hadn't killed him with a bad one.
First and 10, Hodgson firing, and the pass was intended for Greg McMurtry. Did he catch it? Apparently he did. Or did he?
I think they ruled it a catch, but time expired unless they were able to call a quick timeout.
Well, the clock shows 1 second.
Coach Mack likes it.
Coach Mack wants it to count. You can bet, because Bauman would be able to get a field goal from there. It would be a 44-yard attempt if Bauman was able to line it up, and he will indeed. New England with a timeout.
Well, we'll get a look at this. We'll have the clock in at the bottom of the screen. Once again, 3-man line. Not a whole lot of pressure. Hodgson able to go ahead and fire that ball downfield. Now, he bobbles it, but does catch it. Now, there's plenty of time to call the timeout. I'm sure they went ahead and got that call in. Here we'll see McMurtry going up high for that ball. And that's one thing that New England has. They've got some acrobatic wide receivers. He and Fryer will go for that football.
Well, McMurtry led the team last week with 7 receptions. He was the player of the game, and that was a big one for New England right there, because Charlie Bauman is lining himself up for a field goal, which could pull the Patriots within 17-13. A 44-yard attempt for Charlie Bauman. He has hit a 44-yard field goal earlier this year, his longest, with 1 second left in the first half. Blocked. So there will be no field goal as the first half comes to a close, and Miami fights off New England and goes into the locker room with a 17-10 lead.
I don't know who got it, but someone coming right up the middle just caved the entire front wall of the New England Patriots back, getting their hand up.
I believe it was Jeff Cross.
I thought it was Jeff Cross. I'm pretty sure Jeff Cross was one that did block that, and that's what you look for. Hey, you know, we want to make something happen, and they get the special teams to make something else happen. That's 2 kicks they blocked in the first half that has left Miami ahead in this game. You'll see Cross go ahead, getting up, coming through the middle of the line. A lot of people try to overload. They'll get 4 and 5 guys and put them on 3 and just collapse that. Miami did a great job doing it.
So what an end to the teams in the NFL. This is Walter Stanley bringing out the kickoff from Pete Stoyanovich. Dwight Hollier there for the Dolphins on the stop. So New England will take over. First and 10. What a furious ending to the first half of this game. New England getting in position for the field goal, but with Miami coming up with a big block here, Dan.
Well, exactly. You know, they play that bend but don't break. They let New England drive it down, get in good range for a successful attempt, but Miami goes ahead and blocks the kick, the second one of the first half. And Yesterday he said, hey, if we can play well on special teams, we might win. 2 block kicks away from being tied.
From the 16, Hodson to Leonard Russell. And the Miami defense behind the line of scrimmage to bring him down. John Offerdahl leading the way. Here's a look at our Coors halftime stats. And the New England Patriots holding their own. Miami picking up a little bit more yardage overall. 161 passing and 204 total yards.
Well, if you was to tell me yesterday that New England would have scored 10 points, be only trailing by 7, I would have thought at the half they would have rushed for at least maybe 80 or 100 yards. But they haven't. They've only rushed for 19 yards, and that is what is so surprising about looking at those stats. 2nd down and 12 for the Patriots.
Deep in their own territory, Hodson throws it right into the arms of number 51, Brian Cox, who had an interception if he wanted it, but he just dropped it.
Brian Cox is one of those young players that Miami is so excited about. Hodson gets some time. He makes a poor decision. He fires it in there. Cox sagging on the top left of your screen, just sagging back in that little soft zone. Throws it right to him. Brian Cox is a player that makes big plays. He's counted on by Tom Olivieri, the defensive coordinator, to make those kind of plays. But obviously he drops that one. But I just think this guy is a rising star in search of a constellation.
Olivieri told us yesterday he could not believe Brian Cox was around in the 5th round where Miami picked him up a couple of years ago. 3rd and 12 for Hodson, throwing up top to number 86, Greg McMurtry, who was open, but it was just overthrown a hair.
You know, being an ex-defensive lineman, I'll talk an awful lot about pressure affecting the quarterback's throw. There, Hodson got enough pressure where he really wasn't able to finish the throw, overthrowing McMurtry for some 5 yards. That makes a big difference in the course of a game, how much pressure you put in front of that quarterback's face.
Well, Miami on its very first series of the first half threw an interceptions, which led to a New England score. And the first series that New England takes over here in the second half is not good at all. 4th and 12 as McCarthy tries to get it off and does, where Scott Miller waits for it at his own 48. Down to the New England 42. Richard Tardis on the stop for New England.
Well, New England comes out and they try to get something going. They try to pass the ball. Obviously, they don't complete the pass. Now they have to punt. After the punt, Miami has the ball on their own 43. Now, that's not the field position game that Dick McPherson, the head coach, wanted to play. He wanted to move those chains, move the ball at least 20, 30 yards before he had to punt, and keep Dan Marino away from that goal line. At 40 yards, Marino could smell it there.
Marino was held without a touchdown pass for the first time in 14 regular season games last week. He already has one to Keith Jackson, Mark Clayton, and he's now going for Mark Duper. So he's got all of his weapons for touchdown passes today. 43 yards, Marino to Duper, and just like that, it's 23-10 Miami. Could be 24.
I said he could smell it. Apparently, Mark Duper could smell it first. Duper out on the left. The same exact play. They faked that little dive play, got the safety. Robbins up on there at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Duper running away from the single coverage for the post pattern.
Maurice Hurst was on the coverage. Hurst was the Patriot who dropped an interception for sure last week that could have given the Patriots a new life against the 49ers, but Duper with another touchdown catch. And Pete Stoyanovich and to try to make it 24-10 Miami.
Once again, who are you going to double?
13:37 left. Third quarter, Miami up 24-10. Beginning to roll here this afternoon at Joe Robbie Stadium. Mark Duper, the latest recipient of a Dan Marino touchdown pass, 43 yards. He's got 3 receptions today, and Duper needs just 15 more receptions to join the elite 500 club that Clayton and Nat Moore have already joined as Miami receivers. The Dolphins with a 24-10 lead.
You know, we was talking to Don Shula yesterday, and I said, you know, Don, for a lot of years, all you had to do was say, hey, double those two outside guys, Clayton and Duper, and you'll shut the offense down. No longer. They've got too many guns.
Well, we saw Clayton and Duper's eyes light up when they mentioned Keith Jackson and what his arrival here will do to the opening up of the wideouts, and we've seen that today. Walter Stanley avoiding one tackle and punches his way up to about the 20-yard line, and a flag down.
You know, that's one way you can tell if a team has quit on you or not, is see if they still give effort in the special teams. I still see New England flying around on special teams trying to claw back into this game.
Holding by the receiving team during the return, number 91. The 10-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Okay, looking at that first down touchdown pass by Marino, you've got these big offensive linemen selling the run. Those two safeties, they're not even worried about a pass. Marino goes ahead, takes a little half row. Clayton runs the deep post on a single coverage. This is child's play from Marino.
Well, Chris Gannon with a holding call for New England, which pushes the Patriots back even more into their own territory. Russell Leonard on the carry. And right now, New England needs to gain some positive yards. Miami scoring on the last two possessions. Marv Cook and big post, double tight end formation for New England. And I have to imagine that Dick McPherson wants to settle his club down, get some positive yardage, keep the ball on the ground. Second down and 8.
Well, they've lined up in that two tight end set, single back. They just want to bang it, maybe run a little play action.
And Hodgson will pass. And Leonard Russell just could not hold on to it. Clearly should have been caught. He did have some room on the right side and lost his concentration. Russell sitting out last week with a hip pointer.
Well, New England has done an awful lot of good things today, but they just really haven't made the plays to be able to compete with the Miami Dolphins. You know, you think about easy, simple plays like that. Pitch and catch. Back should never drop that pass. Quarterback should always throw a good one. I mean, little simple things like that. New England's starting to fall apart, it seems a little bit. They've got to keep it wrapped tight or they're going to get blown out.
McMurtry and Fryer split on third down and 8. Hodgson to Fryer on the turnaround pattern, which is good enough for the first down. So on a gutsy 3rd and 8 deep in their own territory call, Hodgson comes up with a big play to Fryer.
Well, it was a gutsy call, but a gutsy throw, too. Hodgson had to throw that ball 4 steps before Irving Fryer turned around. You'll see Fryer just now. The ball's almost there before he even turns around. Now, that is timing, and it takes, you know, these guys throw that pattern 1,000 times over the course of a summer before training camp even starts, and you see how it pays off in the end.
Well, Fryer told us something interesting last week when the Patriots lost to the 49ers as San Francisco rallied to win that game last week. He said, hey, we had a feeling that San Francisco was going to come back and win that game. We have to change that feeling if we're going to be able to win this year. And another drop pass by New England. This time it's John Vaughn. So Russell a couple of plays ago drops one, and now Vaughn can't handle it.
Well, along those same lines, you know, Marv Cook says we just got to find a way to win. Hey, I'm ready to start cheating if I have to, but I want to find a way to win. And, you know, little drop passes here and there, missed assignments, being a step short or getting out for a block. All those things add up to 0-5.
Marv Cook, along with Leonard Russell, did not play against the San Francisco 49ers last week. Marv Cook, the Pro Bowler last year, missed that game with a thigh injury. Ben Coates, the other tight end, had a good game, but they need Marv Cook in there, and he hasn't really had a lot of action today. Second down and 10 for New England. Hodgson with plenty of time. This time, John Vaughn really never had a chance at it as Hodgson put it above his opposite shoulder, and that was a tough catch to come up with.
Again, Hodgson under a little bit of pressure. Jeff Cross, Griggs, those guys up front, hitting a seam getting some pressure and forcing a lot of those bad throws. You know, it's easy to set up here and say, hey, the quarterback should have thrown the ball better. Well, it's hard when you got a 275-pound lineman falling on you all the time. And, you know, part of the problem with New England's offense, and I think they have an awful lot of talent, is their offensive line has not gelled. It's not that they don't have good enough players to compete. They just had so many guys move around, they have a hard time picking up stunts and blitzes.
3rd and 10 for Hodgson, the Patriots. Hodgson looking for 86. McMurtry, and it was tipped by Vesti Jackson, who had a key interception return for a touchdown last week against Atlanta, which turned the ball game around for Miami.
Well, they traded to Chicago for Vesti Jackson, and Vesti has been a great addition. There you see him tipping the ball away at the last second. When I played with Vesti in Chicago, that was the kind of player he was. Real smart, heady guy. You knew where he was at all times, and he wouldn't do anything that would jeopardize your defense's chances of winning, and that's what he's done for this team. He's given them a lot of big plays.
Well, New England can't convert, and on 4th down, McCarthy punts it away to Miller. Backed up to his 29. Plenty of Patriots in the area, and the ball was fumbled.
I believe a New England player came up with it.
We will see for the call. 45 yards on the punt by McCarthy, and on a 6-yard return by Miller, we will see if New England comes up with a fumble recovery.
Well, I see an awful lot of those aqua-colored pants laying on the ground. Usually when you don't have the ball, you lay around there waiting for the guy that has it to get up and you try to jerk it away from him.
Well, as you can hear from the crowd's response, Miami comes up with it, and they'll take over. 1st and 10, up 24-10 over Dick McPherson's winless. Hollier recovered it for Miami, a rookie out of North Carolina, and so with 11:25 to go in the 3rd quarter and up 24-10, Marino on 1st down will give to Higgs, who will pick up a couple and no more. Maurice Hurst, the right cornerback for New England, on the stop. And this is a point in the game, Dan, where the New England Patriot defense has to come up with a stop. In the last 2 possessions, Miami has scored, and it's looked rather easily as Marino has scattered the weapons around and gone to Keith Jackson, Mark Clayton, Mark Duper. Here's the time when the Patriots have to stop him.
Well, and I think the real key is finding the right guy to help on. You've got to double somebody every play. Make sure you take away Marino's target. Make him read.
Easier said than done as Marino fires to Clayton, and that is complete. Next Sunday, NBC presents a NFL doubleheader beginning at 12 Eastern time with NFL Live. Then Rodney Hampton leads the New York Giants, one of the NFC's leading rushers, against the Seattle Seahawks. And in the second half of our doubleheader, both of these teams today, Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins against the Colts or the Patriots, taking on the Cleveland Browns. You can check your local listings for the time in your area. And on 3rd down and 6 for Miami, Bobby Humphrey back in the Miami offense. Marino will run it out, and he'll get the 1st down and take a tumble over the bench on the New England sideline.
He needs to take a bow.
He does.
Take a bow, Dan.
Well, you can see he's all right. He's smiling. How you doing, guys? I'm just passing through.
Yeah, now you know why he's not a running back. He looked like me trying to run out there. That's hysterical.
11 yards on the play for Marino.
Look, gets that push up the middle, just takes it down, says, hey, I can run with this thing. It's not that heavy. Now you see, oh, Dan.
He can't stop.
There he gets a little shot. Now, you know, a lot of times.
He was going to hurdle that. It looked like Roger Kingdom.
I promise you, next week Don Shula will have big mattresses laid out all behind those benches. I don't want this guy hurt.
Well, you can bet Marino will be hearing about that from his teammates next week as he completes that one to Tony Page. He did pick up the 1st down, and on the 1st down and 10, it's a 6-yard gain to make it 2nd down and 4.
Looked like Ichabod Crane running. Oh, I gotta love it.
Oh, but he's still serious. The steely blue eyes of Dan Marino. And you talk about quarterbacks from around the NFL and the history of this game. can talk about great arms. You can talk about winning quarterbacks, the Joe Montanas, the Johnny Unitas's, but as far as quick trigger men go, none have pulled the trigger quicker than Marino. Picks up the first down and more. That is Keith Jackson free on the right side, and he'll take a couple of Patriot defenders out with him out of bounds, and Dan Marino is throwing at will to his weapon.
Well, I said a few plays ago, what you have to do is double the guys, make Marino read. Watch him, he'll go back. What he wants to do is throw the out. He says, okay, he's covered. Who's next? Boom! He picks out Keith Jackson on the middle of the field, fires that howitzer at him. I mean, it takes about a split second for the ball to get there. That is what makes Marino so good.
And Henderson and Poole were along for the ride out of bounds. As Keith Jackson, 6'2", 250.
Runaway dump truck.
31 yards on the game. Marino back to work. Slip pass. Keith Jackson. Touchdown, Miami. Second of the day for Keith Jackson.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, the guy said about me, if you had a Martian land on this planet, you said, you know, he said, what's a quarterback look like? I'd show him a picture of Dan Marino. Here Marino goes back, gets a little heat, and this is what makes him so good. A lot of people think that he can't move around in the pocket and put the touch on the ball. You can't throw it better than that, Dan.
Keith Jackson pumping up the crowd at Joe Robbie Stadium. And Pete Stoyanovich trying to tack on point number 31 for Miami.
It's funny, yesterday Tom Olivadotti said, we haven't scored 40 points since I've been here. Maybe today.
The Dolphins and Dan Marino certainly on that pace. They have blown it up here against New England, 31-10. Passing clinic courtesy of one of the best in the business, Dan Marino, whose second touchdown pass of the day to Keith Jackson has given the Dolphins a 31-10 lead, and Marino yet another milestone on his ever-growing list, tying the NFL record for most career games with 4+ touchdowns. Johnny Unitas.
He showed that he has an awful lot of ways to beat you, and I tell you what, I don't think anybody can do it quite like this guy has.
Walter Stanley from inside the goal spins across to the 18-yard line for New England. Lifford Hobley on the stop for the Dolphins.
You know, we're talking about Marino and his release earlier. I remember in '85, we came down to play a game against the Dolphins, Monday Night Football, all that, and was all keyed up. And early in the game, I've had some real good pass rushes. I beat my guy, and I mean, as fast as I could put my head down and run 7 yards to where Marino was, he had thrown the ball like an 18-yard frozen rope out. I was a non-factor, and that's humiliating to a defensive lineman. And a defense, it's like no matter what you do, a guy like Marino can beat you. And Don Shula says yesterday, hey, this guy still amazes me in practice. And when you got that kind of talent, and you start putting in guys like Clayton, Humphrey, Keith Jackson, it's going to be a scary thing before it's over with.
Well, on the flip side of the coin, this is Tom Hodson. First and 10. Flips it out to John Stevens. He's wrestled out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Be sure that begins at 1 Eastern with Notre Dame Saturday.
Another defensive struggle, huh?
Yes, second down and 10, and Hodson hits McMurtry, who is met immediately by Jarvis Williams.
You know, look at this Miami Dolphin defense. It's not as big and strong as a lot of the defenses around the league, but what they have is a lot of guys that will strike you. Cox, Offerdahl, those two safeties. These guys like to hit people.
New England out of the no huddle, a flag on the play. Third down and 6. Hodson is brought down by Alfred Oglesby, the backup nose tackle for Chuck Klingbeil. Could be another holding call on the Patriots.
I believe there's a little motion.
Prior to the snap of the ball, the false start by the offense, number 77.
It was.
Penalty remains third down. There was no play.
The last thing you want to do when you're 3rd and long is jump off sides and put yourself in a bigger hole. And, you know, we talked about Harlow and right tackle. He was a first-round pick last year. He had a fine year, but he had to go through back surgery. He's not at full strength. You know, there's an awful lot of things that you can find with the team that you like. It's just not clicking.
3rd and 11. Hodson buying time. Finds John Stevens, who is across the 20. Well short of the first down. Marco Coleman on the stop, and New England will punt it away.
Well, Marco Coleman has had his name called an awful lot today, and he's one of the big reasons why the Dolphins have played very well on defense. Like I said, you get guys like Cam, Brian Cox, Offerdahl, Klingbeil, the little nose tackle. I mean, these guys are good players. They're going to make a good defense.
McCarthy's punt taken by Scott Miller. Brought down at the 44-yard line. Miami Dolphins 31, New England 10. We'll be back to Joe Robbie Stadium. You know, they're getting the job done once again. He takes up over 24 pages in the Dolphins media guide. Matter of fact, they sent an intern, said, we don't want to see you for a couple of weeks before you compile all of it. And I was thinking, you had a great career in Chicago. Let's check out and see exactly how many pages that Dan Hampton took up in the Chicago Bears media guide. And we find that 2 pages for a 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, 2, but who's counting, right? Hey, at least it's in there, right?
You demand more respect, Dan, and I have found it.
Well, I wouldn't have had, you know,
peculiar why you haven't brought this up with the Chicago Bears publicity office. As Mark Higgs gets the carry for Miami. We do joke a little bit about Marino's 24 pages in the Miami media guide, but there is no doubting what he has meant to this franchise. He signed a 5-year, $25 million contract in August of 1991. He's the highest paid player in the NFL. And arguably the best in the game.
I wish I'd have known about that contract yesterday. I could have used a few bucks for lunch.
Marino on the money again. This time Tony Page, the fullback, out of the backfield, is all the way down to the New England 26.
Okay, we talked all day about what are you going to do with these guys? Well, I guess Joe Collier says, hey, I'm just going to drop back in a soft zone, try to man up and break on the ball. Well, you come back, Marino hits Page on a little quick seam pattern that splits the linebackers in the underneath coverage. Big game. I tell you what, I mean, darn if you do, darn if you don't. You can't cover them all with 2. You just hope for the best.
Tony Page's wife gave birth to a son last Sunday, stayed up all night, coached her through the birth process and played a game. He says, it wasn't any big deal. I play better when I'm tired. This is Higgs across the right side for Miami. Jerome Henderson on the stop for the Patriots.
You know, you see how quickly this Miami Dolphin offense can strike. It's like a dominoes offense. We score in 30 minutes or less, or you get your money back, you know? I mean, these guys are
30
scary.
minutes. How about 30 seconds?
There you go. I mean, on the first play of the second half, Marino goes back, scans the field like RoboCop, fires a missile, and a touchdown. Scary.
And Miami in business, 2nd down and 2. The ball on the 18. Stop short of the first down. It'll bring up 3rd down. Chris Singleton over there for the Patriots.
You know, you got to be a little sympathetic for that New England defense. You know, they haven't had an awful lot of good breaks this year. They're, like I said early in the game, they're really led by their linebackers, but you know, they've got some good linemen. Tim Gold, he's a good one. Ray Agnew, he's a young guy that'll make some plays. But you know, when you play against an offense like this, You saw Joe Collier over there. I don't know if he slept very well this week either when you think about all these guys Marino could throw the ball to.
Well, they've given Keith Jackson a break, and Greg Beatty is in at tight end for the Dolphins.
You see big Richmond Webb there, number 78. He's done a fine job of blocking, protecting Marino today.
Richmond Webb been to the Pro Bowl each of his first 2 seasons, part of that huge offensive left front for the Dolphins, Keith Sims and Richmond Webb.
Now, you know, you think about that left side. Now, I played against these guys when they were both rookies, 1990. And I couldn't believe it. They first play, they run a little dive, they get up and go back to huddle, and I'm looking at them from behind, and I can't believe how wide their back pockets are. You know what I'm saying? These guys are big, strong men. And I tell you what, it's hard to believe they don't have as much rushing yardage as they can with this big offensive line they have.
Well, the Dolphins get the first down. And with 2:57 left in the third quarter, the Miami Dolphins up 31-10 over New England.
For
Marino, a perfect 6 for 6 this half. He threw an interception on his first play of the game, but it doesn't matter to a guy like Dan Marino.
A lot of quarterbacks are going to shell. He just comes out shelling.
1st and 10. Higgs fighting his way to the 11-yard line.
You see the New England guys getting up slower and slower. They've been out on that field an awful lot today. And again, they haven't had a lot of good things happen to them.
Well, we've talked about all of Dan Marino's accolades, but the one ultimate accolade that has eluded him is the Super Bowl championship. And we were at practice yesterday, Dan. I think one of the first things he looked at was, yeah, I've done a lot with my career, but let me see your Super Bowl ring. He was serious. He wants one.
Well, I guess that's all he has left to prove, you know. I mean, he's done it all.
That's it. Except that. Tony Page, the fullback on the reception, flags all over the place. Face mask.
Well, you know, that's going to be called an unintentional, but I don't agree with that. Hey, the guy was just trying to get a handle on this guy, and they throw the flag on him. I don't think there was any intent to damage the other guy. I don't agree with that call. You know, it's a moot point, but I just think you got to let these guys play. It's a tough game, sure, but don't tie their hands behind their back.
Here's the call.
Face mask on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
So nothing going right for Dick McPherson.
You know, when you're out in the flat like this, trying to tackle one of these guys, you know, it's like trying to catch a rat on a kitchen floor. I mean, they're just little squiggly guy. I mean, you're just trying to get a hold of him, get him down.
That was Chris Singleton called for the face mask.
You know, like I said, I think you got to let those guys play. He didn't intentionally try to grab it.
1st and goal on the 3 for the Dolphins, trying to add to a 31-10 lead. Higgs stumbles out of the backfield. He had 2 touchdowns last week and wants to join in on the touchdown assault today, which have come all by air for the Dolphins.
Well, number 72, Tim Goad, the nose tackle, did a good job of submarining under that offensive line, knocking their feet out from under him. Higgs trying to hit it up in there, trips over his own guy's legs. And you know, that's really a good way to play goal line defense. Take the legs out and let those linebackers mop them up.
No gain for Higgs. Inside a minute to play in the third quarter. Higgs again, bounces outside, touchdown Miami. Mark Higgs, 5th-year man out of Kentucky, his 3rd year with the Dolphins, trying to ward off Bobby Humphrey for that starting running back position, and if he keeps scoring, he may just do that.
Well, talking to Higgs yesterday, he says, hey, you know, I'm just going to do all I can when I get a chance, and that's all he does. He goes out, he's, you know, running hard with the ball. And like you said, he may have one hand around the football. He may have one hand pushing Bobby back off the field. But when you have 2 players like this, I think it's a good situation. You can't have enough good players. Higgs and Humphrey, as good as you could ever ask for in this offense.
Pete Stoyanovich in for the point after. And it It is 38-10 Miami on the touchdown run by Mark Hicks. Clayton has a touchdown pass today. Mark Duper has a touchdown pass today. Keith Jackson has a couple of touchdown passes. So Dan Marino says, here, Mark, here's one on the ground.
Go suit up, Hicksy. Maybe he'll throw you one.
Okay, here's the kickoff to John Vaughn, who takes it out across the 20, has some room across the 35, and out of bounds. At about the Tommy Hodson at the controls for New England, and things have not gone well at all in the third quarter. Play action rolling to his right. That pass is complete to Marv Cook. His first reception of the game, and when Marv Cook doesn't have many receptions, you know there's something wrong with the New England offense.
Well, you know, this is the guy that went to the Pro Bowl last year because he's such a good blocker, but he has caught an awful lot of passes. Now, in this offensive scheme New England has, he needs to be very involved.
Miami with a 38-10 lead. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Dan Hicks back with Dan Hampton at Joe Robbie Stadium. Anybody want to coach the New England Patriots? That is what Dick McPherson, his challenge ahead of him, 0-5, seemingly on his way to 0-6, trailing 38-10, and it's not just the losing on the field over the past several years, Dan, which has had this club mired in the cellar. Had the good year last year, but they've instantly taken a step back. It's the off-the-field problems which add to the whole atmosphere of New England. Talking to the players yesterday, they're frustrated.
No, I don't think it's any secret that New England's got problems on and off the playing field.
Vaughn is caught in the backfield, dragged down by Lifford Hobley. Back to our New York studios for an update. Bob Costas.
All right, Dan, and we're looking in on the action at Mile High Stadium, trailing 14-10. John Elway down the right sideline to Mark Jackson, uncovered all alone, 42 yards for the TD. Following the extra point, the 4-2 Broncos now lead the 4-1 Oilers late in the third quarter, 17-14. Back to Miami.
38-10. The Dolphins lead here at Joe Robbie Stadium over New England. The Patriots trying to muster some sort of offense here. Second down and 14. Hodson to the right side has Marv Cook, who has his second reception of the day. Well, 2 weeks ago, the New England owner, James Orthwein, really lit into the CEO for the Patriots, Sam Jankovic, after the embarrassing loss to the Jets. And then McPherson this past week, Dan, in a national television interview said, I'm not afraid of Orthwein. When somebody asked him about if he's afraid of losing his job, why should I fear him? This guy makes millions of dollars. Why should I be afraid of him? Well, he told us earlier today at the stadium here that it was just a frustrated reaction to all that's happened. And then the press conference this week, he also attributed the leaving of Garen Veras to, hey, what is the front office of this team doing? We let Garen Veras go to the San Francisco 49ers, and we get nothing back for him. So a long and trying week for Dick McPherson indeed, and he's usually such an upbeat, enthusiastic coach.
Well, if that's not enough of a problem, now he's got his offensive lineman resorting to doing takedowns on the Dolphin rushman, and you know, that's the thing. You know, it's easy to say, well, he's a head coach, he gets paid, he shouldn't get.
Number 70, the penalty is declined, brings up fourth down.
He shouldn't get all frustrated and worked out. But believe me, once you go to training camp and you put all these plans and you scout players, all the hours of watching film, all these, I mean, it's an amazing production that you see on the field each and every weekend. And when you're 0-5, it's almost like for naught. And I can understand an awful lot of that frustration.
Sean McCarthy to punt for New England. Scott Miller back deep for Miami, stands at his own 10-yard line. High hanging punt. Fair catch by Miller. Lets it land. And that's where the Dolphins will take over. 13:21 to go, fourth quarter. Miami, the comeback kid, Dan Marino, three of the 5 Miami wins this season. He's had to rally his team in the fourth quarter, but with 13:21 to go today against New England, he has given way to Scott Mitchell in his first NFL season. And he'll hand off to Mark Higgs. Well, Marino was sacked once in this game, and we believe that is the reason for the ice pack on his left hand, but obviously that has nothing to do with that fast trigger on the right there.
No, I kind of think that ice pack's on there to try to get a couple of strokes out of somebody at the golf course tomorrow. You know, this guy, he not only is a terrific quarterback, he's real close to a scratch golfer, and I'm sure he's trying to milk somebody for a shot or two on the course.
Here's Scott Mitchell, who led the Orlando Thunder to the World Bowl last season, and he'll keep it on the ground again to Higgs. David Poole and Vincent Brown on the stop. Mitchell inactive for Miami last season, and then went the World League route. He's 6'6", 236 pounds. Drafted in the 4th round a couple of years ago. It's your backup Dan Marino. It's pretty much weight. Well, injury happens.
You know, sort of like being a vice president. Unless something really bad happens, you don't really do much.
I thought we were going to keep politics out of this. Evidently, we can't. We'll show you another reason why a little bit later on. Flag on the play as Mitchell was working out of the shotgun.
False start prior to the snap on the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
Well, that kind of, you know, that's kind of like the exploding cigar. Mitchell was trying to get the hard count, draw the defense off, but you could give the hard count with your voice inflection, but you can't motion or gesture like that because they say that it'll draw the defensive lineman off. Apparently, official called him for it instead of the defensive line. You know, I did the preseason game between the Bears and the Dolphins last summer, Dan, and Mitchell was coming in the 4th quarter and directed a couple of very impressive drives. You know, if you look at, you know, Dan Marino, the guy's been around a long time, 10 years, and you have to start making plans for the day Dan Marino is not here. And then this guy right here is a good-looking prospect.
All-American out of Utah. 3rd and 11. The southpaw winds up, fires downfield, and it is almost picked off by Jerome Henderson. But he could not hold on. Freddie Banks, the intended receiver.
You know, when it rains, it pours. And last week, you know, the same Patriot DBs had chances to help defeat the 49ers. They dropped some interceptions there. You see Jerome dropping another pass, should have been a give me. And, you know, you've got to make the play when the opportunity permits itself. Thus far this year, that's the reason they're 0-6. They haven't made it.
Henderson had a chance for his 2nd pick of the afternoon, but he can't come up with a. Walter Stanley takes it at the 49, reverses his field, back across midfield, and he is dragged down by
this
number 51, Brian Cox. 38-10, Miami 11-17. The starting quarterback, separated shoulder, bad knee, unable to start. Hugh Millen on the sidelines watching Tommy Hodson take over the controls today, and nothing went right.
Now give me the bad news. I tell you, I tell you what.
Precisely the point.
Talking with Hugh Millen before the game, really sharp guy. I like him a lot. I think he's a fine quarterback. He's got a big problem. He's got a big lump with that shoulder separated. He may not be playing for quite a while.
Well, they talked about shoulder surgery at the end of the season. Hodson on the run, brought down by Brian Cox. What a story Brian Cox is.
You know, we talk about this Miami Dolphin defense. Now they've got some guys with big play abilities. Well, this guy probably has as much as anyone. That is his 8th sack of the year. He's one behind the NFL leaders. Now, when was the last time you heard of someone in a Dolphin uniform leading the league in sacks? Just uses the speed to run down Tommy Hodson.
2nd and team. Hodson wanted Walter Stanley, overthrew him. Brian Cox really gives the Miami defense a streak of aggressiveness. He was born in East St. Louis, Illinois, one of the worst ghettos you'll find in the United States. Grew up with drug addicts on his street, gangs, criminals in the neighborhood. But he rose above it all, went to Western Illinois, and is now in his second year for the Miami Dolphins, and is really, along with John Offerdahl, becoming one of the leaders of this defense. That one is batted away at the line of scrimmage by who else? Brian Cox.
Again, Cox making a big play.
And the fans that are left here at Joe Robbie Stadium giving the defense and Brian Cox a huge round of applause. Tommy Hodson.
Well, you know, we talked with Brian yesterday, and you get such a great impression of this kid. Really a sharp guy. I mean, he makes big plays, but, you know, you talk about a player getting 8, 9 sacks. He's got a chance to go to the Pro Bowl, but that may be the hardest spot to make the Pro Bowl in the entire NFL, outside linebacker in the AFC. If there's a better one, I'd like to see him, though.
Flags on the play. Illegal procedure call, perhaps. Could be 99 David Howard moving. Can it get any worse for the New England Patriots?
False start, slider snap on the offense, numbers 53 and 95. 5-yard penalty. It remains fourth down.
You know, Lou Holtz, who was my last 2 years in college, he was a coach at Arkansas, and he has a lot of great philosophies about football and life. But one of the things he really pointed out to us early on is when you lose, and you lose continuously, you start to doubt yourself, your teammates, you start pointing fingers. And I think that is Coach Mack's biggest job this week, is making sure that that doesn't happen, that everyone doesn't start questioning each other.
Beautiful punt by McCarthy on 4th and 24. That is Miller across the 20-yard line. 59 yards on the punt by Sean McCarthy. One of the few bright spots for the Patriots. 10:03 left in the game at Joe Robbie Stadium. Miami Dolphins up 38-10 over the New England Patriots. Dan Marino taking a break. Scott Mitchell in for his second series. The first series was nothing to write home about. He'll start this one out from the 20. Page, the ball carrier.
You know, when you talk about this Miami defense really being kind of a reemergence this year, they're really doing a great job. And one of the big reasons is this guy right here, 99 Chuck Klingbeil. Now, we saw this guy out of practice yesterday, right? I said, that's Sergeant Rock. Now, tell me, is that not Sergeant Rock?
For our other viewers out there that don't ride that cartoon level that you do at times, Dan, Sergeant Rock being who?
Oh, yeah, but this guy, you know, I can just imagine him driving a Jeep to work with cutoffs. I mean, this guy, he's Sergeant Rock.
Chiseled out of a piece of granite. And Mitchell is picked off by David Howard. So not a good couple of series at all for Scott Mitchell, who, when you get those from Dan Marino, you got to take advantage and have some fun, but he has been stuffed, and Howard gets the INT.
Here Mitchell throwing against a soft zone. Howard just really keeps sagging out there, getting out there to cover that deep out. Makes a good play.
Gannon there on the pressure of Mitchell. So New England inside the Miami 30 with 9:11 to go can at least make the score look more respectable. They're down 38-10, but 38-17, 38-20 sure would look a lot better.
Well, the only guy that probably liked that interception is Sergeant Rock. You'll see him right there on the nose. He wants to play some more.
John Bond, the ball carrier. 38-10 here in Miami. Let's go to New York and Bob Costas for studio update.
This action comes your way, Daniel, my boy. From the Kingdome, Nick Bell watches several Seattle Seahawks miss tackles, and then this Bell takes his toll on Seattle's flickering hopes. He goes 66 for the touchdown. The Raiders are about to win their third in a row, and Seattle will be 1-6. It's 19-0 in the fourth. Back to Miami.
All right, Bob.
Danny, my boy.
Bell taking his toll. This is Hodson firing to John Vaughn. Jarvis Williams out there, the strong safety on the coverage. So at least Tommy Hodson could.
I think there's an awful lot of positives in the way Tommy Hodson has come in today and thrown the ball with authority and confidence. You know, it's like I said, I can find an awful lot of things about New England that excite me as far as playing football in the NFL. I just think they're a couple of players away, a couple of schemes. I mean, I like a lot of what they're doing, and a lot of their players, they just haven't made the plays when they get the chance, and that's why 0-6.
Another reason why you're 0-6 is New England has 18 yards rushing all day against Miami.
You know,
incomplete, suspended for Michael Timpson.
Well, you know, you look at this offense, you see 3 #1 draft picks in the offensive line. You see those big running backs. You see a Pro Bowl tight end. You see a guy like Irving Fryer on the outside that has speed to keep safeties up. Why aren't they being able to run the ball? Well, I just think, you know, they've got some problems inside. They haven't been able to keep people blocked. Then they start pressing when they get behind, and the ball comes unraveled. You know, like Dick McPherson said early on today, before, you know, we even got to the game, he said, hey, if I can just keep it close, let my special teams make some plays, I'm in it. Yeah.
4th and 8, New England with no choice but to go for it. Hodson out of the shotgun, swings it wide right to Kevin Turner, breaks a couple of tackles, and he'll pick up the first down. Gain of 13, Troy Vincent on the coverage. Clock winding at 6:50 to go. Miami up 38-10. New England with a 1st and 10 from the 14. Hodson is flushed. Swings it all the way across the field. A host of Miami defenders were there. Marv Cook was the intended receiver. Lewis Oliver among the defense.
T.J. Turner, the big left end, gets a good rush, forces a high pass. Cook trying to get up. I tell you what, I don't know. I think I could almost slip the Fort Lauderdale directory under his feet there, Dan, and really got up that time. I got to think that, you know, that is not the style of offensive attack that Mark Cook, you know, he's a guy that goes down there, gun cover 6, 7, 8 yards away, catches the ball and turns and makes 3 or 4.
2nd and 10. This time, Hodson has Michael Timpson.
Hodson's pass to Michael Timpson. Touchdown. New England Patriots.
Well, 14 yards on the play.
You know, talking with Tom Olivedani, the defensive coordinator, he says, you know, if we get a big lead, we're going to give up a bunch of cheap yards, but statistically, this Dolphin defense played a lot better than it'll show up in the papers there. Hodson takes his time, doesn't really get a lot of push out of that defensive front, able to find Timpson on a little quick crosser. But, you know, I think some of the ways that Tom Olivedani, the defensive coordinator, feels about this defense is very similar to the way we approach things in Chicago. The main thing is keep the points down. You don't want to, you know, get in a negative turnover situation. Always get a lot of turnovers. But the main thing is, you know, keep that rushing defense strong.
Well, this is Charlie Bauman lining up for a field goal for New England to make it 38-20. So with 6:32 to go, New England cuts into the Miami lead, but it's a little bit too little, too late. Next week on NBC Sports, action-packed NFL doubleheader, Seattle versus the New York Giants. Second half, 4 o'clock Eastern time start. This very unbeaten Miami Dolphin football team taking on a much improved Indianapolis Colts squad. And then this Patriot squad gets to at least go back to Foxboro and take on the Cleveland Browns.
You know, this guy right here, he's been a coach a long time, and like we said, he was 0-4 one time at Syracuse. He, you know, he's got him a big hole to dig out of now at 0-6.
Well, he told us he was 0-4 that year. I believe it was in 1985, Dan, when he was at Syracuse, and he gave his team prior to the 5th game of the season a pin to wear which said 0-4 and said, wear that around for a while and you won't want to go to 0-5. And this gives us some place to start. He told his team a similar line today before the game.
Well, they haven't decided to give up yet. And, you know, it's way too early in the season to write them off completely, but here they're going to try the onside kick. It's a good kick. Now, that ball on the second bounce stand didn't really get the lift that you want. What they try to do is just top it. On the second kick, that ball should kick up in the air like 7, 8, 10 yards and give everybody a chance for a free shot at it.
Tony Page recovered it for the Dolphins.
You know, it may sound a little bit easier. See, on the second bounce, right there is when it should have kicked up, 7, 8 yards in the air, 8, 10 feet. Let those guys go ahead and try to, go up and get it. Ball never kicked up. Easy recovery for Tony Page, the fullback.
James Saxon and Bobby Humphrey in the backfield for the Dolphins. And this is Humphrey. Don Shula in his 30th year as an NFL coach, 23rd with Miami. He began his NFL coaching career all the way back in 1963. Winner of 311 games. 14 wins shy now of George Halas, the only other man in the NFL history to win more games than Don Shula. James Saxon on the carry, and being that this is the political season, we can look back at the coaching career of Don Shula and find some political trends. Well, John F. Kennedy went 5-5 when he was president. LBJ, look at the numbers he racked up there. Look at Richard Nixon, 70, 17-2. I believe there's a trend here, Dan Hampton.
Well, I don't know how he votes, but he kind of looks like a Republican from here. Look at Carter. I mean, he's having a hard time when Jimmy was president. But, I just kind of think that the thing that amazes me about Don Shula is he's won throwing the ball. He's won with a running attack. He's won with a defense, without a defense. Any way you want to go to the Super Bowl, he's been there.
Well, as flags fall on the field, there is a reason why Don Shula is the highest paid coach in the NFL. He signed a contract extension in July.
Delay of game on the offense, 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
A contract extension worth $3.7 million over 2 years. And should he make it to the Super Bowl, he would be the first to make it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Well, I think it's safe to say that no one else will hold that distinction. But like I said, he's done it an awful lot of different ways. It's really amazing when you sit there and analyze his record.
Well, we mentioned the last 2 times that Miami has started off at 5-0. They've gone to the Super Bowl back in 72 and 84. This is Scott Mitchell rolling to his left, bumping off a Patriot defender, Dwayne Sabb, and getting some yardage.
You got to give some credit to John Sandusky, who has been with Don Shula an awful long time. He told us yesterday that, I've only really had 2 offensive line coaches my entire coaching career. One was Monty Clark, who went on to become head coach at Detroit. And then, of course, John Sandusky, who has turned out Pro Bowl player after Pro Bowl player. And it's hard to compete in this league. if you don't have a good offensive line, and that almost guarantees it when you have John Sandusky as your coach.
Well, on 4th and 2, Miami trying to put this game on ice, but flags fall, and they could be in for another penalty.
Encroachment prior to the snap by the defensive nose guard. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that'll give Miami the first down, so they won't have to.
Well, you know, if you look in the New England Patriot textbook, first page says don't jump off sides and give them a first down. Now, I mean, this is a very simple thing. Right there, those guys are lined up on the football. How can you not see the ball not move? I mean,
Fred Smirlis, number 76, in his 14th year out of Boston College, and moved.
Maybe a little bit too much of that decaf.
There's James Saxon skirting the left side. Well, we mentioned that Don Shula began his coaching career back in 1963 with the Baltimore Colts. Been plenty of movement in the NFL since then. And look at some of the present-day NFL coaches. Where were they back in 1963? Well, Bill Belichick, the Cleveland Browns coach, was in the 6th grade. My favorite, Bill Cowher in the 2nd grade with Don Shula broke into the NFL coaching ranks. Where were you in 1963?
Well, I know you're 30. You have had to have wet pants on. I think I may have been in the refrigerator.
But the question remains, where was Dick Ferguson back in 1963? Well, there you have it.
The Bearcats.
The UC Bearcats, as a fledgling college career, began to emerge. He would later spend most of his time as the head coach of Syracuse for 10 outstanding seasons.
You know, I think one of the great reasons that Sam Yankovic brought in Dick McPherson was he gives stability. You know, he's been up and down the road a long time. I think you have to have that with this kind of football program. You've got to have some stability somewhere. Fumble.
The ball was jarred loose. Eugene Lockhart of the Patriots with a recovery. Eugene Lockhart in his 9th year out of Houston.
Big Eugene Lockhart. Eugene the hitting machine there. He just kind of cleaning up some table scraps. Fires up there, gets the ball, gets New England another chance to try to get back in the game.
Well, it's 38-17, and with 3:17 left, I think it would be suffice to say that the Patriots and Dick McPherson would be encouraged if they could just get a drive here.
Well, I just got to say one thing. You know, I've talked earlier on in the game about how that front seven of New England is really the rock around which his team can be built. When you have Eugene Lockhart where he can't get on the field and start, you got some good people.
Here is Hodson, and that is complete to Michael Timpson, who was hit very hard by J.B. Brown, the 4th-year man out of Maryland, who has 2 interceptions already this year. Another part of that Miami defense.
Talking about those Miami defensive backs, you know, with Troy Vincent, the first-round draft pick starting, and J.B. Brown, and then, of course, Bestie Jackson. They've got a real good situation back there. They got a lot of quality cover guys.
Well, the first and 10 for New England. Timpson again, left side. Clock is stopped at 2:43 to go. Bestie Jackson on the coverage for Miami. 7th-year man out of Washington, coming over from the Chicago Bears, and didn't talk to the media until last week when he had that big key 30-yard interception return for a touchdown versus Atlanta. And he really came out of Chicago, Dan, with his felt like he'd been burned by the media a little bit.
Well, you know, I think he and Mike Ditka got sideways, and Bestie came out looking like maybe less than what he really is. And I think he's a really fine cornerback and a good player and a good team guy, too.
Hodson long to Stanley, and he can't catch up with it. And that'll bring up 3rd down for New England with 2:36 left. 3rd down and 5. Miami in command, 38-17. It was only 17-10 at halftime. New England was very much in the game, but Marino began to spread it around. 43-yard touchdown to Duper. Then he hit Keith Jackson. Then Mark Higgs had a touchdown run, and it's opened up things a bit.
Watching this New England offense go to the line of scrimmage, you know, we got to fly out here tonight. We got a long night. Let me tell you, that is going to be an awful long plane ride back to Foxboro for this New England football team.
Ben Coates with his first reception of the day. The tight end who replaced Marv Cook last week. Got a spectacular touchdown catch in the third quarter against the 49ers, a game that New England was in. They, matter of fact, took their first lead of the season, 12-10 last week against San Francisco, and before getting a lead here against Miami before it all crumbled away. The 2-minute warning in Miami at Joe Robbie Stadium. Miami Dolphins on their way to a 6-0 mark. New England just 17 points. Clayton, 44 yards on the slanting pattern. That gave the Miami Dolphins their first touchdown of the game and a 10-7 lead over New England. That was, rather, New England was up 10-7, but it's our wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game. Mark Clayton says, yeah. Thank you very much.
He said he may be going someplace else next year. He's out of contract, may test the waters. I can't imagine him wanting to go to Cleveland and catch rock balls.
There's Hodson scrambling on first down. Brian Cox catches up with him. Yeah, I wouldn't think that, you know, we were talking with Mark Clayton and Dan Marino yesterday at practice, and we were saying to ourselves, why would Mark Clayton want to move on? Well, Mark Clayton's contract expires at the end of this season, and perhaps there's some posturing being done. As Hodson completes it to Walter Stanley.
Background music here before long.
Anytime. Greg McMurtry.
You know, talking about what you can find even in a defeat like this, you can find some positives, some pluses, and this is one right here. You never know. Next week against Cleveland, they may need this type of a drive to win the game or to tie it or whatever. You need to go ahead and work your quarterback in these 2-minute drills, especially a guy like Hodson, who you really, you know, can't think has been in that many situations like that in the last year. He hasn't played that much. So, you know, even in these defeats, you can find some ray of light.
On 2nd down and 3, Hodson's pass out of bounds. You know, Dick McPherson's club went 6-1-15, but we're talking to him. He said, you know, we're 0-5 now. We've taken a step back. It has not been a pleasant experience. Our offensive line is not developed. But there's nothing they can do except try to dig themselves out.
Well, you know, obviously they had their 5th place schedule, and there's a lot of things that, you know, in fact, he told me last year, hey, it's going to be the easiest part of this job for me is this first year. Changing the minds, making these guys believe. He says the 2nd year and the 3rd year in the rebuilding is going to be the hardest, and it has been.
3rd and 3, Hodson's pass incomplete. That's exactly what Irving Fryer indicated to us yesterday. Fryer, the All-Pro who played on the New England Patriots Super Bowl team. He told us been able to do so far this season.
Right. There's very few guys sitting over there on that bench. They're all interested in seeing how their buddies are going to.
4th down and 3. Hodson tries to pick up the touchdown. Instead, it's picked off by Lewis Oliver. And that should conclude a very frustrating day for Tommy Hodson, who, filling in for Hugh Millen, was dealt the hand he was dealt.
Well, we talked about Miami being a team on the roll, and I tell you what, I think it's obvious for anyone to watch this game. New England put up an awful good fight early, but they came back with 31 unanswered points. Dan Marino throwing the ball at will, and I mean, basically just put New England out of commission in a very short period of time. And when you give Don Shula a chance at you, I tell you what, he's one of the best. His record bears it out. And when he has all this talent, Miami's going to be a force to be reckoned with before the end of it.
Well, Miami has swept the series from New England the last 3 years. We mentioned that the last 4 games have been decided by no more than 10 points, but not today. Miami with a 38-17 lead. And for you trivia buffs, you know, 8 of the 15 teams that have begun the season with at least 5 straight wins have gone on to the Super Bowl. So when you start off at 5-0, you get everything rolling.
Well, you can get the 6-0 pretty easy, and we saw that today.
And I think we're about to go to 6-0. In fact, the clock will wind down from 20 seconds. Dick McPherson will go to the drawing board again. He goes to 0-6. The bottom of the AFC East. The flip side of that, Don Shula, who chalks up win number 312 with a 38-17 win over the New England Patriots. The Miami Dolphins still the only unbeaten team in the NFL. And we'll be back to wrap things up at Joe Robbie